was on MSNBC today and said some really, really sharp things regarding Hillary Clinton. Mike is calling from the Silicon Valley, where, of course, Carly worked at HP for a long time. So you say she's a dynamite candidate, Mike. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike. You're on the Savage Nation. Brian Sussman filling in quickly.
Fine, Brian. That guy from Africa, I think he's a San Francisco liberal. Anyway, in the last few weeks, I had the opportunity to meet with Carly on 2 occasions in D.C. and in Colorado Springs at some conferences. Brian, as you know better than most, this woman is dynamite. She knows more about corporate conditions, the economy, than just about every Republican candidate going. And we got some great ones going. She really deserves the attention and support of our listeners on this day at KSFO, because this woman has got a lot to say, and we should listen to her. And
Mike, listen, I appreciate your call, but for the sake of time, I will say this. She does have a lot to say. I don't know if she would be the best presidential choice at this particular time. It's way too early to tell. We need to get through the process. But I like her. She's tough. She says what's going on, and I like her in the race because at the end of the day, then Hillary can't claim sexism and say, woe is me, they're doing this to me because I'm a woman. Bag that nonsense. Brian Sussman filling in for Michael Savage on This the Savage Nation. We're going to talk a little bit about Mike's book, Countdown to Mecca, which is in the stores now. Highly encourage you to pick up a copy. 855-400-SAVAGE. That's the number on This the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the only company I trust to protect my wealth with gold and silver. Call 800-BUICOIN.
Brian Sussman filling in for Michael Savage. Michael Savage, of course, a bit under the weather. Fought through yesterday's program, but certainly needed a day off today. Back tomorrow. 855-400-SAVAGE, the phone number. MichaelSavage.com, of course, the website. You know, one of the other stories that we want to get to in the next hour is in Cleveland. They've reached a deal with the Department of Justice. So Cleveland police are now going to be, their police department's going to be reformed by the Department of Justice. This is what the Department of Justice wants to do all over the United States. And I'm telling you something, like Rick in KVOR, Colorado. Rick, quickly, please. You got about 15 seconds. I understand you're a retired cop, and my guess is with everything going on, you're probably glad you're retired.
Man, you know what? I thank God that I retired 5 years ago, May 1st. I didn't want to retire. I got injured. I've had 8 surgeries and pain every day. But you know what? I would rather take the pain every day than have to deal with what these guys are dealing with now. It is insane.
It's impossible for the cops to do their job, and it's only going to get worse, especially when you have Loretta Lynch, who's like Eric Holder in drag as our Attorney General. Thanks for your call. Does that work that way, Eric Holder? Maybe Eric Holder was Loretta Lynch in drag, and he had the job first. I don't know. They're cut from the same cloth. That's my point. By the way, Countdown to Mecca. Countdown to Mecca. This is the final episode of Savage's trilogy that began with the other books. It was Abuse of Power and A Time for War. Countdown to Mecca is about a plot to destroy Islam's holy city. But there was one man who might be able to stop the attack, and I can't give you the whole story, of course. But it's Jack Hatfield, that's Savage's hero. And he's that freelance TV producer who lost his top-rated opinion show because of a liberal media smear. My goodness, doesn't that sound familiar? By a group that resembles Media Matters. But this book is doing incredibly well, just as you would suspect. So buy it in stores today. Michael Savage's Countdown to Mecca. Brian Sussman, proud to be filling in on this, the Savage Nation.
Warning: The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
It's the Savage Nation, everybody. That's right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. It's the Savage Nation. Brian Sussman filling in for Michael Savage. Michael's off. Those of you who listened to the program yesterday knew that he realized, because he made it clear he was struggling, just was really hit by this bug that is going all around. And everyone thought it was best to just keep him out of action for a day so he could come back strong and finish out the week Thursday, Friday. So, Brian Sussman here. Michael and I have been on the same outlet in San Francisco, KSFO, for years. Long before I was ever even on the station, I was a listener of Michael's local show before he was syndicated. So we've got a long-standing relationship via radio. There is a guy that troubles me, and I know he troubles Michael as well, John McCain. When John McCain was running for president, I tried really hard to be a fan. And I was really only a fan because he was running against Obama, who I didn't like from the get-go. And it had nothing to do with Obama's color, for you liberals listening. It had to do with the fact that I had studied his political career and studied a little bit about his life, and all those things made me believe that he was not the right man for our nation. This is a guy who wanted to fundamentally transform America. Now, think about that. If I went to you, and I mentioned this to a caller in the last hour, but let's expand upon it because I know a lot of new listeners are just checking in. If you guys listening to me who are married, or guys listening to me have a girlfriend, if you went to that significant other and said, I love you, and I want to fundamentally transform your life, she'd say, what? And at that moment in time, you might get one upside the head. Maybe she would allow you to continue to say, I like you, but, we just need little plastic surgery in the face, maybe a boob job. Let's do something about the waistline. Could you imagine? She would crack you so hard upside the head and you would deserve it. That means you don't love her. You want to transform her into something else. So when Barack Obama said he wants to fundamentally transform America, right off the bat, whoop, 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 sirens are going off in my head. Big red light, antenna on alert. So we were given McCain. Boy, that was a real strategy for victory, wasn't it? Anyway, here's McCain, CBS News. He's telling them that there is no strategy to fight ISIS, and he's absolutely correct. This is clip 7.
We need to have a strategy. There is no strategy. And anybody that says that there is, I'd like to hear what it is, because it certainly isn't apparent now. And right now, we are seeing these horrible the reports are now in Palmyra. They're executing people and leaving their bodies in the streets. Meanwhile, the President of the United States is saying that the biggest enemy we have is climate change.
It is absolutely ridiculous. He's spot on this one. Climate change. My past life as a TV meteorologist, I know something about this. Anybody with a brain in their head does as well. Climate change. Can I tell you something? Climate change. National security issue. I'm along with McCain on this one. I'm watching these videos. You probably have to at least watch one of them. One of these chop the head off videos. Just so you understand this enemy we face, these guys are serious about what they're doing. And you look at these videos that they produce. I wouldn't be surprised if the guys producing these death videos are graduates of the UCLA School of Film or USC's film school. These are slick, well-produced productions, and they're frightening, and they're meant to be frightening. That's how Islam has spread throughout the centuries, through fear and intimidation. And here's Nancy Pelosi. Forgive me, she's my congresswoman out here in San Francisco. She's talking about, ISIS has made more advances than we expected on social media. MSNBC, this is clip 5, please.
It's an enormous challenge, and we have to fight it on every front, including the front of social media. That is a place where they have really made more advances than you would have suspected. And that is where we have to fight them as well.
You want to use social media, Nancy, to try to get to ISIS? Contact the Billy Graham Evangelical Association. Have them put together a website to get these guys converted. They got to go from Allah to Jesus. That's the only thing that's going to save this world. You either introduce these Muslims to Jesus or introduce them to bacon. Because once they taste bacon, they will realize it's really, really good, and the religion may be not worth it. Or maybe beer. Jesus, bacon, or beer. McCain, there is no strategy to fight ISIS. I want to know what the strategy is because I am frightened by these creatures. Creatures is to, didn't say, oh God, I was listening to Savage yesterday. Didn't he say something about ISIS being, somebody was Satan yesterday. Somebody was Satan yesterday on the Savage. Oh, Obama was Satan. I knew somebody was Satan. Well, I talked to a very well-known theologian who's with the Acton Institute. Just look them up online. These are highbrow, men of God with PhDs, and they're very serious about their faith. And I was talking to a guy with the Acton Institute, and I said, a lot of people, a lot of Christians think that Obama's the Antichrist. And he said, no, he's not the Antichrist. He is the perfect dress rehearsal for the Antichrist. And it's just amazing how people swoon. Oh, my God, everything he says, doesn't matter what he says. They start clapping before he even gets 2 words into the sentence. Drones, brainwashed. Now, what are the Republicans doing about it? Well, if we can just get Jeb in there. Here is Richard calling from KVOC in Wyoming. Richard, welcome to the Savage Nation. Brian Sussman, Philly. And can I just tell you, I love Wyoming. I really do. I love Wyoming. Where do you live in Wyoming?
Casper.
I love Casper. I've been there. Yeah. It's God's country. I mean, I've been to Cody, Wyoming. You think of, wild, so you got Cody. So here's Wild Bill Cody, right? This guy could pick anywhere he wanted to live in the entire western United States. He chooses Cody, Wyoming, for a good reason. It is absolutely beautiful there. That is God's country.
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead.
Hey, I want to know what the rules of engagement were when we were supposed to be bombing these guys out of existence or pushing them back so far that they become cowards.
You're talking about ISIS, correct? ISIS?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what we're doing. I mean, I've heard, Richard, you've probably talked to guys who have served. They come back and they tell you about the rules of engagement. They're a joke. The rules of engagement are a joke. They're designed, it would seem, to a rational mind, to put our guys at risk.
Yes.
And now we're supposed to be doing these airstrikes against ISIS. What airstrikes?
Them on motorcycles, 2 guys, and harassed the hell out of them. They couldn't shoot them, even if the guys had a rifle on them. And then somewhere down the line, they would send other guys out there to do that. Then they'd slap a bomb on the dang rig,
Listen, at some point, Richard, we have to get serious about these guys. We need a General Patton type leader if we ever want to see these people defeated, because otherwise they will grow like metastatic cancer. They'll keep growing and growing and growing. And let's not forget, they've threatened the United States of America. They said the flag of ISIS is going to be flying from the White House. These people are serious. And they're a little different than us here in America. In America, we think on a quarterly basis, based on the stock market. Everything's quarterly. Everything's quarterly success. They're thinking a quarter of a century. They're thinking 250 years out. They're not bothered by time.
Yeah. Well, I talked to GIs from Fort Lewis. I was working in Washington State over there, just down the road in Lakewood from Fort Lewis. Mm-hmm. Spent some time there myself because I was in the Army too.
Yeah.
Those guys, they don't like Obama at all. I have a sign. I've had a sign on the back of my pickup ever since I moved back to Wyoming. It says "Impeach Obama." And I used to get all kinds of thumbs up. I'd have guys talk to me.
Hey, Richard, can I tell you something? You wouldn't believe this, but even here in San Francisco, I see the same bumper stickers, all right? I saw the same bumper sticker on a Prius recently, okay? You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, you have a great day up in the beautiful state of Wyoming. If you've never been to Wyoming, you got to go. It's just